Hello, and welcome to another episode of Two Bald Nerds. I'm Richard Chapman, and with me today again, as always, is Mike Meyers, the man, the myth, the legend. Hi, sir. How's it going?
Richard, how you doing, my brother?
I am doing great. Hey, listen, I gotta talk to you about IT pros transitioning into cyber. It seems to be happening quite frequently. There's a lot of people coming from many different IT background, different IT fields, looking to get into cyber. What do you think about that?
Well, I mean, if you want to go back, even say 15, even 20 years ago, right? So, early aughts, uh, my big push was always when people, this is back when I was doing more like blue collar entry level stuff, okay? And, uh, and this was the old CompTIA, the CompTIA Plus, CompTIA Network Plus, that kind of stuff. And you get these people who have no IT experience at all, right? Not IT pros, okay? But
Mm-hmm.
now they are. Technically, they're IT pros now, right? I'm going to ask you a
Right?
question in a minute. But,
Uh-oh.
I tell, and I still tell people this day, I go, if you stay a year at your first job, you're probably making a mistake, or it's a really, really good first job. I'll cave in on that one. And that is, I just think in our industry, there's an assumption of movement, especially in the first 3 years of your career. I think after about 3 years, as you start to zero in on a particular pathway that you like, then it might be every 3 years you get a new job as opposed to once a year for the first 3 years. So it's normal for a technician, especially in the first few years of their career, to move up through a series of jobs. We have a normal progression. That is what we do. And I feel that, well, before I do anything else, I need to ask you a question, Richard. Tell me what an IT pro is, in your opinion. There's no right answer here.
I was going to say, I mean, I think it's almost like any role. When you first start, you're newer, right? So you're maybe a semi-pro. Right? You're just starting to get the learning process. So I do think a pro is somebody who has a little bit of experience to where they're comfortable with the day-to-day operations of whatever role they're actually functioning in. So, but that being said, IT is a tricky field because you generally don't know everything in your field. I don't care even if you've been doing it for 18, 20 years. It doesn't always work out that way. So
Of course.
yeah, I would say someone who's been in the job for at least 6 months to a year, you could consider them a pro already because I'd be fairly sure that they're able to do the day-to-day operations most of the time.
Well, I mean, okay, well, with that attitude in mind, I'm now prepared to answer your question, which is basically just following up to what you just said. Uh, in particular, I'm going to I will challenge people and say it's it. I feel we're in a somewhat recessive period right now, but as I look around the northern D.C., Maryland area, which is just one area I happen to have some expertise in, that and the Houston, Texas area, in terms of work opportunities, the data centers are still being built up, and those job openings are still showing up on LinkedIn, which is my primary source of trying to figure out what we need. And so the easy, quick answer, folks, is yes, of course. I don't almost literally any form of IT. If I don't have to go through explaining basic networking concepts, basic TCP/IP concepts, understanding what ports are, a lot of these core pieces, and bring you into a program like CyberNow Labs program, for example. Actually, if they have some experience as IT pros, they get some good. They can save money, is all I'm trying to say, Richard. Is that accurate? Okay, so
Yeah.
um,
They can actually short circuit the process a little
they
bit
can
as
kind
well
of
too.
they can kind of do a advanced placement. They can
Yeah, yeah, that's one way
skip
to
a
look at
course
it.
kind of thing.
It depends on the certifications that they currently have.
Okay, sure. No, absolutely. So it not only is it a good idea, can you do it as an IT pro? You absolutely can do it. The uh, the trick is to understand that, especially if you want to make that jump from let's call it generic IT pro into cybersecurity in particular, we're going to have courses like the Cyber Now Labs course, which is going to do so much for you, not only in terms of understanding the business and how it works, using the actual tools that you're going to be using on your first day of the job. Tell you, there's nothing nicer than walking in, you know, you you're always in school for something or another, and you're like, am I going to really use this? By the time you go through a Cyber Now Labs and you literally plop down, and it's like, this is the exact same stuff. It's a pretty good feeling. So yes, you absolutely can have all of that. Don't concern yourself about recessionary periods. Don't concern yourself. Just jump in, man. It's these are real opportunity times, and you need to be taking advantage of it. How's that for an answer and a half, Richard Chapman?
It's a good answer, but I got another question. So I feel like there's a lower ceiling in the general IT field versus specifically going into cyber. Do you think that there's a lower ceiling in IT?
A lower ceiling?
Yeah, like for instance, you can only get to this level in IT, but if
Oh,
you're a
oh.
cybersecurity, you
Well,
can
no,
get to
to
this
me,
level.
but yeah, absolutely. IT by itself is a generalist thing.
Yeah.
People who are starting out in these CompTIA A plus, Net plus worlds, often high schoolers or
Hmm.
somebody fresh out of high school, to give you an idea of where the thing is. Uh, that's great. But shit, cut, cut.
Okay.
What the hell did I just say? I literally lost track. Richard, I'm distracted over here and I'm trying to do other things, and I apologize for that. I shouldn't have
Okay.
done that, but I lost track. So,
Okay. You said there are high schoolers that get started with A plus. So you were kind of
but I was
talking
going to
about
go.
something.
So, but the question was, is IT Bubba than cyber? What was
Is
the
the
third?
C is there a lower ceiling in IT?
Oh, okay.
In other words, do you have a lot more opportunities in cyber? Because I kind of feel like if you're just a general IT person doing networking, help desk, things like that, it's a really low ceiling. There's only so much you can.
It's
There's
an
only so
entry
far you
level
can go.
job. It's you're a cashier at McDonald's. You know,
Exactly. Exactly.
the primary function is to get the heck out of that job as quickly as possible. The danger you run into, and that is for a lot of folks, more blue collar type folks, is they often find themselves very, very happy in these, you know, I don't feel they're really well paying, 25 to $30 an hour, which I know sounds good, but
But
if you're a
their
degreed
routine,
person and stuff
they're
like that, it's not that.
routine, they're straightforward. You can go to work and do your thing every day, and you're not having to really change a whole lot. It's kind of, I joke about myself and say that I think I'd work pretty well in a manufacturing plant where, you screw on the toothpaste cap because I'm really good at doing the same action over and over and over again when it comes to processes. So it's almost kind of like that. You can definitely get comfortable in doing a particular role, but the cyber world is a little different. Like there's a lot more opportunity to build and expand and move into different, very, very niche focuses, whether it's tool
Absolutely. But
specific
what,
or
what what
process.
happens, Richard? No, I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry, but
That's okay.
uh, for a lot of the people that I see, they often are the 16 to 20-year-old people without degrees. And
Okay.
I have discovered that for a lot of those people, once they have tasted the world of IT and they start seeing the CEOs and the CFOs and the analysts and the architects, and that is where, I hate to say it, but I do feel like we're starting to get a glass ceiling now for degrees in IT, uh,
Mm.
which when we were finally getting into the SOCs, it was almost understandable because, for the first 10 years of IT security, we were literally changing it by the minute.
Yeah.
Uh, but as things stabilize out, we are seeing some. When people ask me, do I have to have a college degree to become a cyber analyst? I go, no, but it helps. You
Yeah.
don't have to have it, but it will often speed things up for you. The alternative being taking advantage of programs like Cyber Now Labs, which not only give you the training, but also help you get that resume written the right way and all that. Give you the how to find the contacts, how to use the tools. They can do just fine. So to take forever to answer your simple question, yes, I think the more general or what I would call screwdriver tech positions do very much have a limiting factor to it. And that anybody who's a generalist, and you could say this for almost any industry, if you're a generalist, you'll always get the first call, but you won't get paid like the guy who's getting the second call. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I think continually growing in your training, in your degrees, in your certifications. You have to keep doing all that thing. There are better places to make a living than IT if you're not ambitious. You know what I mean? You've
Yeah.
got to always be digging into something new. And you don't even think about it. You know who you are already. I almost always know who the great cyber techs are going to be just by talking with them a lot of times and seeing where they're at, where their interests are, where their motivations.
Yeah, totally agree. Awesome. Well, as always, it's always a pleasure to spend a few minutes with you to pick your brain. Thank you so much for being here. And with that, we'll go ahead and end this episode of Two Bald Nerds. Thank you guys for joining us today. We'll see you on the next episode.
Bye, guys. If you like Two Bald Nerds, check out our entire playlist right here. It's a lot of fun. We'll see you there.